There's a lot to love about living in Cambridge, but of course, like any place to live, there's pros and cons to living here. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what it's like to live in Cambridge from the perspective of someone who lives and works here full time. Hi, I'm Ricky.Everest, a realtor at Team Patti.Brainard, and I've been living in Cambridge for over 5 years now. Before I moved to Cambridge, I was a more rural, small-town guy, living in the less densely populated areas of Louisiana and Colorado. Not being a big city person, I feel like Cambridge is a good spot because it's got that small-town feel while still having all the amenities of a big city, plus you're right across the bridge from a big city. Cambridge has over 600 restaurants, bars, and cafes, and there's something for everyone, whether you're a vegan or you just want to eat pizza for every meal. And personally, I'm on that end of the spectrum because New Englanders like to brag about their pizza, and they're right, it's great. So you got this big city variety of things to do, but the small town downside is that typically all the restaurants and cafes are going to close about 10 p.m. Plus you can't hang out at the bar all night because the bars usually close around 2 a.m. But fortunately there's a handful of places, like Insomnia Cookies, that stay open most of the night. If you're more the outdoorsy type, Cambridge has you covered with over 16 public parks. Two of the larger ones are right next to where I live in Alewife. There's Danahy Park, which has multiple public athletic fields, a track, playgrounds for kids to play, and a dog park. But if you prefer nature over people, you can also take a stroll through the Alewife Brook Parkway Reservation, which has over 120 acres of preserve land. When it comes to enjoying the parks and the general weather outside, most people are in agreement that they enjoy the spring and the summer and the fall, and everyone comes from all around to watch the leaves change and drink pumpkin spice lattes. But the one season that could be a pro or con depending on your temperament is the winter. Cambridge winters can be unpredictable, but usually the winters are pretty mild here with a few big storms sprinkled throughout. On the positive side, winters here are really pretty, and if you're into winter sports, we're right next to New Hampshire where you can ski or snowboard. On the not so positive side, if you don't like the cold like me, you might get a little bit of cabin fever during the winter months when you're avoiding shoveling out your car. If you manage to defrost from the winter months, the rest of the year is a great time to hang out on the water. And the best spot to do that is probably the Charles River, which is the river that separates Cambridge and Boston. Throughout the year, people enjoy boating and rowing on the river. There's great events like the Head of the Charles Rowing Competition and the Dragon Boat Festival, which I'm a big fan of. And the only downside is it's not usually a good place to swim, but occasionally the city does host a city splash where people can take a dip in the Charles. While there is a lot of fun to be had in Cambridge, a huge portion of the population are coming for education and work opportunities. Around 27% of the population in Cambridge are students that are getting educated at universities like Harvard or MIT. And with so many students being educated here, there are always new startups popping up and new opportunities in the ever-growing biotech industry that attracts workers from all around the world. We have a really diverse population in Cambridge, with about 30% of the people living here being born outside of the US. But people are coming here every day, and with a lot of demand to live here in the city, it makes it more expensive to live here. And as a local realtor, I can tell you that home prices are particularly high, and if you want a full breakdown of the cost of living in Cambridge, you can check out my video on it here. The neighborhoods of Cambridge are as unique as the people. There are 13 neighborhoods in Cambridge which each have their own unique personality. Generally, Cambridge is a gradient. When you're in East Cambridge, close to Kendall, it feels more like the big city with high-rises, office buildings, and a lot of big apartment complexes. And when you get closer to the center in Central and Harvard Square, it feels like a mix of a big city and a small town. And as you get further west, it feels a little bit more like the suburbs. Each of these areas is going to have their own pros and cons depending on your specific tastes, so in future videos we'll go over the specifics of each neighborhood. Depending on your method of transit, the commute in Cambridge is also pretty nice. I can tell you that walking is really easy in Cambridge. I've walked clear from Kendall to Alewife on multiple occasions, and you can even walk all the way into Boston if you want to. Biking is also great in Cambridge. We're actually considered the 8th best place to bike in America, with bike lanes on all the major roads. Cambridge also has a really comprehensive bus and subway system that can take you to almost any part of the city, and the Red Line can take you straight into Boston where you can catch another subway to get to other parts of the Boston Metro. For some people, driving occasionally will be necessary, but it is the most difficult way to commute in Cambridge, especially during rush hour, where there's choke points near Kendall MIT and in the Alewife rotaries. It's also difficult to park in the middle of the day because a lot of the street parking is going to be resident permit parking only, and a lot of the meters are 2 hours or 30 minutes only. Of course, you can avoid some of the traffic if you get creative with the routes on your commute, and if you live and work in the city, it's very unlikely that you're going to need to drive in the first place. So, if you'd like more info about the city like this, feel free to subscribe and hit the little bell icon because we'll be posting new videos about Cambridge and the surrounding areas every week. If you're thinking about moving to the city, we are a team of local realtors that can help you move into the area, so feel free to call, text, or email anytime so we can help you out. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.